What is good, everybody? It's BBK Dragoon, and welcome to my Warframe Preparing for Fortuna guide series. Thank you so much for all of the 3,000 votes that said, yeah, let's go for it. Essentially, this series is going to be a beginner's guide for new players to Warframe to get prepared for the new Fortuna open world expansion that is coming this fall. And it will be geared more towards the new players. If you are an advanced player, you probably already know exactly what you want to be doing before you get to Fortuna, and I'll be watching the dev streams. Doesn't mean I'm not going to make comments for you guys, but think of this video geared for two people. Brand new people to Warframe, and maybe some returning players who are coming back to the game and just curious as what should you do before we get to the actual Fortuna expansion? What can you do to prepare? So with all that said, I'm going to treat this as if you're a brand new player to Warframe. This is a phenomenal game series. However, it does a very poor job of fostering in new players and keeping them interested in the game. By watching guide series like this, you give yourself the best chance at success and the best chance for enjoying the game. And my hope is by the time that we are done with a few of these videos, you guys have great momentum and you can enjoy the game and begin playing it and just investing into this awesomeness that is Warframe. With all that said, I'm going to go hop on a brand new account and we're going to get started. So after a short cutscene, you're going to be granted a screen here that lets you pick between one of three starting frames: Excalibur, Mag, and Volt. It used to be, like when I was doing my first beginner guide series, I highly recommended Excalibur, but they have since moved the planet where you can actually get Excalibur. So you can pretty much pick any of the three here and be just fine. To be honest, I think Excalibur probably is the best option for a new player, and it's what I'm going to pick for the purpose of this guide. Mag is the one that I think would probably be the most advanced out of these three. You're more than welcome to pick it. It's very much built around a kit that is going to require a little bit more knowledge of the game mechanics to utilize effectively, but during the earlier planets, you can still use Mag and get away with it. I just think Excalibur offers a little bit more utility. And then finally, Volt. I think Volt and Excalibur are two perfect picks. If you really want to go with Mag, that's awesome. During your time playing Warframe, you're going to get the chance to play with a lot of different Warframes and collect different frames, so don't consider the pick here as that substantial. We're going to be able to start building frames very soon into this guide series. With that said, every Warframe has 4 abilities, and the base stats of each Warframe vary slightly, depending on their kit, and also depending on, kind of what the theme of that particular frame is. So with that said, I'm going to pick Excalibur. Okay, so the very first thing, I'm going to be skipping all the cutscenes so you guys don't have any spoilers and you can enjoy it and play through this experience yourself. But the very first thing we should talk about is the movement within this game. Pretty much all beginner guide series start out with this. So you have essentially the ability to sprint, whether you're on your controller or your keyboard, and on computer, that is with the shift key. And on controller, I'm assuming clicking the left thumbstick. You also have the ability to slide. So by crouching, after moving, you can go into this slide. But the main movement tech in Warframe is something called the bullet jump. And the bullet jump is essentially where you crouch, slide, and jump. So crouch, slide, jump, crouch, slide, jump. Now, you can do a double jump as well in this game. So 1 jump and 2 jump. And essentially what we're going to try and do is chain all of the actions together to where we're going to be sprinting, we're going to crouch, slide, double jump, and then shift. So if we press the sprint button in the air, after a double jump, do you see how he does an additional tumble? So the full chain of things is crouch, slide, double jump, and sprint. And when you chain the whole thing together, you get this really cool and fluid movement. And that's where you sort of get to feel like a space ninja and do all sorts of cool movement tech. And a big part of Warframe is kind of flowing your way through the game, flowing your way through the map. I should also point out a couple of other small things that you're going to be implementing into your movement pretty regularly. So if you look down, straight down the floor, straight up, and you do a crouch jump, you're actually going to go really far up in the air. Pretty cool. So if you can also look straight down, and he'll do the same thing. So let's say I'm in the middle of my bullet jumps here, and I want to get up here. Notice how I just move the crosshair up, and it really affects the trajectory of where I want to go. And the final thing here is, when you're falling in mid-air, if you aim down sights, which is typical ADS, so if you're, I think it's left trigger on controllers, and on computer, it's going to be your right mouse button. It slow falls. You see how my character falls slower? Now, you can't do that indefinitely, but it does help you slow down your momentum enough to where you don't hit the floor with a thud. Check this out. So if I go really high in the air and I don't slow my fall, You see that long animation where the Warframe just comes to a big like splat on the ground? That slows down your momentum, and so if you're going to fall from a great height, what you can do is you just ADS right before you hit the floor, and that will slow down your momentum. That's bullet jumping in a nutshell, and if that's the only thing you take away from this particular video, cool, awesome. So here we get to choose our first melee weapon. I'm going to pick the Skana. You can build the MK1 BO as early as you want, or bow, I don't know what the proper pronunciation of it is. It doesn't really matter. Honestly, all of these starter weapons we're going to be replacing very, very soon into the game. So we'll come through here, melee attack with E. I'm not sure what that is on the controller, but we're just going to slice these dudes up, and I'll see you guys at the next point in the tutorial. Here, again, you can choose whatever you want. I'm going to pick the Lado as my sidearm. You can pick the kunais if that's something that you'd like to do. It really does not matter. Like I said, we're going to be replacing most of this gear fairly early on into the game, so throughout your time in Warframe, you're going to run into all sorts of resource nodes. All you need to do is come up to them. You see how they have this little shiny glow about them. They're pretty easy to spot over time. These storage lockers have stuff in them. You can shoot the caches. You can see at the bottom of the screen, bottom center of the screen, what you're picking up. And pretty shortly into the game, we're actually going to pick up a particular mod that will go with one of our companions that helps kind of vacuum these things off of the ground. So you have ammunition that drops, all sorts of things. This is a really good place where you get to start learning about some of the movement tech that's in the game. If you are touching a wall and you jump, you can actually wall run or wall jump off of it. But there's pretty much multiple ways to get through all sorts of tile set things in Warframe. So we could do a nice little bullet jump up here if we wanted to. If we want to come back, we can do it again. So crouch, slide, double jump, and then I can ADS. Lots of stuff. And these little, see these wires? You can press X and you can actually run along the wires. There's all sorts of stuff. You're probably not going to run along the wires very often in this game. There's lots of movement tech. Here you can pick the MK1 Paris, or you can pick up the Brayton. I'm going to pick up the Brayton or the Bratton. Bows are really cool in Warframe. However, for the new player, I would probably go for the Bratton. So just a little easier to probably get used to in Mod 4. I guess it depends. Warframe is such a game, like, dude, about using what you want, when you want, how you want. There are so many things that are viable in this game and enjoyable based upon how you mod. So this earlier on into the game, honestly, just pick what you think looks cool and what you want to try because it looks fun. So here we are on your ship, and this is going to be your base of operations within Warframe. Get used to it. You're going to be using and in this space quite often. Consider this kind of like your hub for selecting new missions, building gear, your in-between space, essentially. First thing we need to do is come right back here and install our segment so that we actually have the arsenal in our ship. And you're going to learn really quickly about all the different parts of the ship. So if you spend some time at the arsenal, you can see here that this is where we're going to select all sorts of different gear throughout the game. And if you go to the appearance tab, you can change the colors of your Warframe. Do note most of the cool color palettes are locked. I can explain to you guys how to unlock them later down the road. These require platinum. However, later on I'll show you how you can earn platinum from within the game, and it's pretty self-explanatory process for the most part. We're gonna come back up to the front of the ship, and here, my friends, is the star chart. This is your roadmap of missions for Warframe, and if you want to prepare for Fortuna, you're gonna want to begin working your way through the star chart. Consider each one of these planets basically like a chapter in a game. And as you go and you start completing different nodes throughout these planets, you're going to unlock junctions. And by completing, objectives on a particular planet and completing the nodes on these planets, it allows you to progress to a different planet. And then from one planet to another planet. And before you know it, you're working your way through the star chart, earning, I would say, more powerful mods, earning new frames, new weapons, and progressing your way through the game. And that's really what you're looking to do as we're getting towards Fortuna. Just like Plains of Eidolon, you're going to be able to probably access Fortuna at a very early point in the game, but in order to be successful in that play space, you're going to want to have worked your way through a decent portion of the star chart, have a decent understanding of the game, and some nice mods to go along with your frames so that you can survive on those spaces and sort of be, I hate to say it, but level capable, I guess, is maybe the best phrase, even though levels are not the easiest thing to explain in this game. So if you see how this node is blinking blue, it's sort of giving us an indication what to do next. You're going to want to follow the blinking blue nodes as best as possible in the earlier portion of the game. Our main goal is to get through all of the blinking blue nodes that allow us to then access the Venus Junction. By completing missions on Earth, we're going to sort of automatically complete most of these requirements here for the Venus Junction. So here we are on the first mission. It's a spy mission. I'm just going to show you guys real quickly what we're going to do. We're going to follow the objective waypoints on the map to get over to A and get right through this mission so we can keep progressing through Earth. So in a spy mission, the goal is to basically get down to these data consoles and hack them without either being spotted or setting off the alarm system. Once you've set off the alarm system, you have a small amount of time on the left side of the screen. It'll usually show you how much time you have left in order to basically get in there, defeat the hacking puzzle, and move on. In these earlier planets, spy missions are not going to be very difficult. None of the missions are really going to be very difficult at the earlier portions of the game. You'll see here at the end of the mission that our frame has begun to earn affinity, or this game's version of experience. All of our gear, in fact, have been earning experience. We ended up getting mods from that particular mission. We got 3 mods, Pressure Point, Serration, and Hornet Strike. They're unfortunately all cracked mods, which I'll explain a little bit later. But there's your first mission. So next up, we're just going to come right back down to the map once the... Oh, actually, we have story stuff to do. So we're going to install over here the marketplace. This is a very important portion of Warframe itself. Okay, so we're going to progress on to the second mission here, to liberate the imprisoned arms dealer. Do you see how it's blinking blue? That lets us know that that is the next spot or the next mission node that we want to engage with. And essentially, Warframe is teaching you the very bare bone beginning stuff about... Essentially, Warframe is teaching you the very bare bone necessities of the game. Now, I have public matchmaking turned on. That's why we have somebody in our game here. Just as a heads up before we start the second mission, the game automatically defaults to public matchmaking, which means when you click a mission node, it's going to try and put you into a lobby with other people looking for that. If you'd like to play it solo, you can come up here right next to your name and pick public, friends only, invite only, or solo. I'm going to be doing solo just for the purposes of the guide right now, but I do encourage you play it with other people. Warframe is a awesome social game, and you'll get more out of it when you play with other people, just from the experience, you know? Okay, so now that we have completed the second mission, game's going to ask us to install the mod console here. And this is very important for also, you know, just like upgrading mods, getting endo, lots of stuff that we're going to be talking about as we progress. So if we come back here to our arsenal, now that we've installed the mod bench, we can click upgrade next to our frame or next to any of our weapons to install mods. So here you can see we've got a bunch of slots, and at the bottom of the screen, we have the mods that we've accumulated so far. As you play Warframe, you're going to get more and more mods, and it's just going to become one of those things. This game is very much about modding. I'm going to talk in detail about modding down the road. For right now, what I recommend is if you come over to the Actions button here, you can click Auto Install, and this will apply an auto installation of what the game thinks the best particular, you know, mods are going to be to put into your frame at this time. This auto method is not the greatest when it comes to picking smart and efficient mod setups. However, for new players, it's a fine way to get you going for the first, you know, few hours of your play with Warframe. You'll notice here in the upper left-hand corner a capacity indicator, and in the upper right-hand corner of every mod is a little number, and that number is the capacity that it takes. Since our Warframe is still just level 1, we only have a capacity of 1. As we level up, the capacity is going to increase, and we're going to be able to be putting more mods into this Warframe. To learn about what a mod does, just run your mouse over it, and you can see here, redirection, plus 20% shield capacity. If you look at these mods, you can see that this one is not cracked, and this redirection is cracked. This cracked redirection plus 20% shield capacity, whereas the non-cracked version is plus 40% shield capacity. Early in the game, you're going to just be getting a lot of these cracked mods, but over time, you're going to be getting the actual real deal mods. The best words of advice that I can give you is don't upgrade cracked mods. If none of that makes sense, don't worry about it. We're going to come to our weapon and do the exact same thing. We're going to come over here and hit auto install, even though there's just Serration. It's going to throw that in, plus 10% damage. We'll do the same thing for all of our weapons, including our melee setup. And once we have done that, I will show you guys about upgrading mods. I don't think this one has capacity. No, it doesn't have capacity yet for it. So It is pretty cool that you can do what you can do with Exalted Blade these days. Okay, with all that said, let's come over here to the mod bench. And there's a lot of dialogue at the beginning of the game covering up stuff that I'm looking for. These are all the mods that we currently own. There's multiple currencies in this game. We're going to talk about mods in detail down the road. But what you can do is if you click on a mod, I'm going to click on our unclicked redirection, you get a lot of options here at the top. So you can enhance this mod using Endo, which is essentially upgrading this mod. I can sell this mod for credits, or I can dissolve this mod for Endo. Over time, you're going to get a lot of repeat mods, and so you're going to be selling those most likely for Endo. But upgrading mods is what I want to show off here. So let's say I want to try and upgrade this particular mod. If I highlight it, you'll see here, I can keep raising up what it's going to take to upgrade redirection all the way to the top. So remember 40% shield capacity? Well, a fully upgraded redirection is going to be 440% shield capacity. Over here is the cost. It's going to be 10,000 Endo, which is the currency used for upgrading mods, and 500,000 credits. You'll note up here we have 13,000 credits and 50 platinum. Not a whole lot to get going, right? Let's go quickly run the third mission, and then after that we'll have the Foundry, and that's a really good starting point for most of the new players. All right, so you've now gone through the first 3 missions as well as the introductory tutorial. Finally, we can talk about what the actual flow of Warframe is about. Well, in Warframe, you collect lots of gear, create new weapons, fill them with more and more powerful mods, crafting more and more new Warframes along the road, and growing more powerful as time goes by. So if I hit escape, I know there's going to be the whole dialogue going of the story stuff, so I'll make sure the audio is turned down. In the upper right-hand corner, there's 2 main currencies here in Warframe: credits and platinum. Credits are the in-game currency. You're going to accumulate these from doing just about everything. Platinum is the real-world currency, so you can spend real money to get more platinum. Platinum is useful for a ton of different things in Warframe. Down the road, as you accumulate more prime parts and particular items and mods that players are interested in, you're going to actually be able to trade with other players for platinum. And you can play Warframe completely for free. You don't need to put $1 into this game. However, I do think it's worth supporting Digital Extremes. This is a really awesome game. But do note, credits are the main in-game currency we're going to be focused on. One of the biggest misconceptions with new Warframe players is when they come over here to the market and they see that they want to craft something, they want to craft a piece of gear, the first thing that shows up is the price tag for platinum. So I'm going to search here a weapon called the Boltor. The Boltor is one of the first weapons that we're going to want to actually purchase and craft in the Foundry. It's a really good starter weapon. But usually the first thing that pops up here is the platinum price tag, which you see is 150 platinum. Don't ever spend platinum on things like Warframes or weapons, purely because that defeats the purpose of the game itself. The main point of the game is for you to play and craft the gear, and by spending platinum on it, you're not doing it the right way. Platinum is used mainly for fashion frame things, for appearance sakes, right? And things that you can't earn within the game. So let's look and see what we can actually create since we're still Mastery rank 1. And we can, looks like Letron, the Bratton, the Burstin, the Paris. So I'm going to end up building probably the Burstin. So if you look here, I've come in and see the Burstin, and what's that? 120 platinum, that's ridiculous. Or if I tab over here to the build, you can see how much the blueprint costs. The blueprint is going to cost me 15,000 credits, and it's going to require these particular resources. So it's going to take 25,000 credits, 1 Morphix, 150 alloy plate, 600 nanospores, and 400 polymer bundles. And what I would do is I'd then purchase that blueprint, and I'd go down to the Foundry. So let's say I purchased that blueprint, I come down to my Foundry, I'd see the blueprint here in the Foundry, and I would build it. But I don't really want to burn my credits on that just yet. I'm going to save up for the Boltor for now. But that's how Warframe works. You generally buy the blueprint over here at the market with credits, not with platinum, and then you build it down here at the Foundry. And you can see here how long it takes to build particular things. So if I wanted to build an Arcwing launcher, it's going to take about 30 minutes. Now, you do not need to be logged in for this timer to click through. It's going to continue all on its own. So let's say you build something at night. It's going to take 12 or 24 hours. When you come back the next day, it'll be ready for you to pick up and rock and roll. So your main objectives right now, I understand this has been a very long video and you still have probably a ton of questions about the game. And I will get to that in part number 2. But my main objective for you guys as new players is to play through Earth, continuing beating the blue blinking nodes. And you'll note we're getting awfully close to this Venus junction right here. We've already completed the requirement for 20 mods. We haven't applied 4 mods to a single warframe or weapon just yet. And we haven't upgraded any mod to rank 2 or higher through the fusion process. And finally, defeating 3 Xmas enemies on Earth. We haven't done that. That is what I'm going to give you as your objective here after part 1, is just continue playing on Earth. And in order to apply mods to a warframe, you've already seen how to do that back at the arsenal. And then upgrading a mod to rank 2, we've shown you how to do that over at the mod bench. But I'll walk you through it one more time. So let's go back to our warframe here. Note, we've now reached rank 2 with the warframe just by leveling the frame up. So if I come up to your upgrade, look, I now have a capacity of 2. Sweet. I don't think I have anything in here that I could throw in. Yeah, I can't throw anything in other than the non-cracked redirection right now. But as I keep playing, I'm going to accumulate more and more what's called affinity. So if, let's see here, show profile. Wow, that took a while here. Mastery rank. Mastery rank is, like I told you guys, the experience points of this game. And as you beat enemies, as you complete blinking blue nodes, as you pick up affinity in missions, your gear is going to continue ranking up until rank 30. First time a piece of gear hits rank 30, you get a bonus to your affinity. Like I said, as Excalibur continues to rank up, you're going to get more capacity. Same thing with all of your weapons and gear. But at rank 30, that is the maximum that you can take that particular piece of gear. There are some steps we're going to do down the road, like formatting frames, that will allow us to put more mods into the frame more effectively. But for right now, playing through Earth, your goal is just to continue ranking your frame up to where you can stick 4 mods within it. And you should be able to do that probably around like rank 10 or 15. It goes pretty quick if you continue playing the blinking blue nodes that are on your star chart, okay? And then also upgrading the mod. All we need to do is, let's say, pick redirection. I'm gonna come over here to fusion. And I'm gonna raise it up. I think it said to rank 2, right? Oh, we don't have any endo just yet. You'll start getting endo drops in your missions itself. And then you're just going to apply the fusion. Endo will look like little blue orbs that are gonna drop on the ground. You'll start accumulating them in your missions. The one really annoying portion of the Venus junction that you're gonna notice pretty early on is, sorry, I got totally distracted there. Defeat 3 Xmas enemies on Earth. Xmas enemies are powerful enemies that are gonna show up around wave 15 when you get to I think it's a defense mission. I think, yeah, Lith right here as a defense mission. You can do it on Lith. I can't remember what Cambria is, but if you stay in the mission until wave 15, you'll start seeing enemies that actually have Xmas written in their name. So don't leave too early if you do this defense mission. Staying till wave 15 is going to take a little while, especially this earlier on. But that's how you're going to easily defeat those 3 Xmas enemies. If you're really getting stuck on that one, remember, they only start coming out once you have progressed pretty deeply into the endless game mode. Okay, all that said, guys, we're going to get deeper into this in part 2. If you don't want to wait for part 2 to come out of this more modern beginner guide, you guys can check out the beginner guide that I was putting together last fall. Shameless self-promotion. I'll put it here on the screen. And if you have any questions at all, leave them in the comments. The Warframe community is ridiculously nice. Veterans, you've been more than helpful in all of my previous content, helping new players in the comments, and I know you will do the same for this series. If you're enjoying this, please let me know by thumbing the series up. I will do my best to keep these coming out at a regular pace, and good luck to you new Warframe players. I know it's a lot to digest after one video, But this is the beginning of a really awesome journey, and if you can hang in there with this game and get past that initial hump, it is a viciously fun and well put together title. Thanks, have a great day, and I'll check in with you again next time.